There are some things that we don't understand in life. When I was attending my special inspector's course, I remember my class teacher, Mr. Bernard Kimeli, insisting that the then deputy commandant of Kenya Police College was Shadrack, with a CH, Kiruki. During morning quiz, anybody writing Shadrack, he would say it is Shadrack, but you would be given a tick. So I've always believed that the commissioner's name was Shadrack Kiruki. But I found a picture of him which indicates that he's Shadrack. The official portrait used to indicate Shadrack Kiruki, so I do not know. I cannot explain further than that, but our class teacher in police language is called class instructor. Our class instructor used to insist that he's called Shadrack. Shadrack Kiruki has an influence on the Kenya police, permanent. And that is why I decided to dedicate these recordings to him. If you look at the police, tuko na ukabila. And ukabila is not the ukabila you people know. The ukabila ni ile, for you to be the police boss, you went through different ways. You will find that the people who are commissioners, they have a certain characteristics, but ukabila wao ilikuwa ni kwamba, look at the people who were from GSU. We have Sieke, Mr. Sieke Kimayo was from GSU. We had Ben Gethi was from the GSU, and so on. From the CID, we had, now you can see Sieke was a Kaleji and Ben Gethi was a Kikuyu. But tukiongea ukabila ya askari, naongea kabila ya paramilitary. You look at Shadrack Kiruki, he was a Meru. And you look at Mr. Nyaseda, he was a Luo. So ukabila ile tunasema, these are CID officers, detectives, and they have their ways of running the police. Then with the intelligence, Bernard Hinga was an intelligence officer. This Boynet was an intelligence officer. There are ways the intelligence officers ran the police. Nitafanya ukabila kidogo. I would say, apart from this Inspector General Mukamba, all police bosses from intelligence were the best. Huyu aliharibu kabisa. I don't even think he handed over to Koome. Useless. Atakuja tumsafishe anyway. So that is what I'm saying, that kuna ukabila such that if a GSU, like when Ben Gethi became the commissioner of police, you'll find that if you compare other formations and provinces, GSU used to, those people with the GSU background used to be rushed up in promotions. So you'd find somebody from this side of Kenya and another from this other side of Kenya being promoted, and you just wonder. I mean, okay, unaona huyu ni kabila fulani, huyu ni kabila fulani. So you say, hiyo ni, but if you look at it, for example, a course for superintendents, you'd find out of 25 students, 15 are from GSU. And even 5 coming from GSU is a big number. So that is the tribalism that is there. I said those from the intelligence, na nimefanya ukabila kidogo, were the best. But the worst were from the CID. If you look at the reign of my teacher, Mr. Nyaseda, and Mr. Kiruki, the command within the police force was weak and shaky because they had spent 90% of their life in plain cloth. Now, when I was attending my special inspector's course, I was lucky to be taught by two future police commissioners. Mr. Nyaseda was my law teacher, and when our class teacher or class instructor was somehow committed elsewhere, he would come and act as our class teacher. Mr. Kiruki by then was the deputy commandant, but most of them had only put on uniform in Kiganjo. They had spent most of their time in CID. So, and I've even met a lot of policemen in command. You find that, there was a deputy OCPD Mandera who was complaining that the OCPD was saying that he was not harsh enough on other people, but he said he had spent a lot of time in CID where the interactions between a superintendent and a constable was more closer than what GD's a chief inspector can be with a superintendent. So after I left Kiganjo, shortly after, the then commandant, Mr. Kola, was transferred to Rift Valley as the provincial police officer. And then Mr. Kiruki was promoted to be the commandant. Then from Kiganjo, he was made the commissioner. Mr. Kiruki, the police started a high-handedness, and there was an incident along Thika Highway where Kenyatta University students were shot dead by police during a riot. Kiruki did the honorable thing, he resigned. Before Kiruki, and even today, how many government officials can resign because of what their juniors have done? So we have to thank Kiruki for that. But the purpose of me recording this about Kiruki was one thing. When Kiruki became the Commissioner of Police, he started something that is called CPA, Christian Police Association, where at the time he started, you know, as days gone, people improve from what somebody started. But he started, you know, with the military, when you come from, let's say, Somalia, you don't go home. You are taken to a place where you get people, psychiatrists, you get pastors, you get people to bring you back to normal. Police, you are woken up at 2 a.m. A vehicle has fallen into the river. You go, you come back, sleep. In the morning, you are putting on uniform. Nobody cares about you, and that is how you find Kinakangongos. Nobody, but Kiruki is the one who started, and as days gone, others are improving on that. We have to thank him. That is why nowadays you find a police officer saying, "I am Inspector Reverend so and so." Those days, and I've even written in my book, we used to avoid police officers who were saved. We used to allocate them duties like report office where we could not allocate. There is an incident I've written in my book where we used to have hard time with those people. Because you arrest somebody, he goes to preach to that person. Now you're jamana muenjoy. Lastly, as I finish off, I want to share with you how after service I visited police headquarters and saw how Christian police service work. It was funny. I even feel laughing today. I went to visit Mr. David Bayer, when he was, by then he was a superintendent. He later rose to very senior ranks, but he was a superintendent at that time. I went to visit him during lunchtime because that 1 hour we could talk our things without me interfering with his work. So when I visited him, he told me, I'm sorry, I'm going to, he said, you can have lunch. He gave me something for lunch, more than lunch, of course, but told me he's going to a fellowship. I said, why can't I go to the fellowship with you? Then after the fellowship at 2 p.m., I can always go for my lunch. We went to that fellowship. We found police officers in uniform. A corporal then told the other officers to stand at attention since a superintendent had come. We entered. That is normal in disciplined forces. As we sat down, then Superintendent David Bayer took the microphone and told people that amjambo wa Kristo, tujambo, Bwana asifiwe. Sasa mimi nataka kualika pastor wetu atuambie maneno yale yaliyotulete hapa ili tule chakula cha roho. And then pastor karibu. Then corporal came. But before the corporal took, nani anapenda pastor? Just like any other saved churches. But you see here is a superintendent welcoming a corporal. Then the corporal said, mzee wa kanisa David Bayer, asante sana. Tumshukuru, tumpigie mzee wa kanisa makofi, just like any. But this is a corporal doing it to a superintendent. The corporal gave his sermon, hallelujah, whatever, tukaimba, tukafanya nini. The sermons ended. And the sermon ended, he gave back the microphone to mzee wa kanisa, Superintendent David Bayer. Mzee David, Elder David Bayer came. He said, nani amefurahia mahubiri ya leo? Sisi tupigie pastor wetu shangwe na. They did that and they said, okay, kanisa imeisha. He left down the microphone and came and sat next to me. Then the corporal, now he was not a corporal, he was not a pastor, now he was a corporal. He said, squad, attention, the superintendent wants to leave. And the superintendent, it was funny. I mean, civilians may not understand it, but we people, you enter the place with the superintendent, the corporal humbles himself to the police superintendent, and then the police superintendent, in his capacity as a church elder, humbles himself before pastor, the pastor who is a corporal, then the pastor. But generally, holistically, I have seen what the influence of religion, especially Christianity, has on the police service. We have to thank Mr. Kiruki for his intervention. Let us forget about the 96% wrong that somebody did. Let us remember the 4% good he did and build on that.